I'll just say a quick note that there are other ways to do this and other ways that might work better on different parts of the body. So one quick example is if I jump a little farther into this, we're going to see that this leg is really, really intersected. There's a lot there. And this doesn't quite do it. It helps a little bit, but doesn't quite fix this. So we could look at other ways to do this. One way that can sort of be used, depends a little bit on the geometry you're actually working with, is to use the vellum detangle node. So this is a node that's usually used inside of a simulation, especially with hair and things, where you might have two geometries intersecting each other, and you basically give it a reference to when things are not intersecting. And it uses that reference and it uses the intersecting geometry to try to split things apart. So if I try something with this detangle, the main thing I have to give it is the previous position attribute. But in this case, all that means is give it an attribute that the geometry is guaranteed not to be intersecting. So the only time I know that that's true is on the very first frame where nothing's intersecting with itself. Put down a time shift node, and I'll hook up the time shift, say after this blast, and I'm going to break the expression on frame, put it to frame 1, and then put down a wrangle, hook that to the same place, hook the second input of the time shift, and basically say that my no intersect attribute is going to be equal to the position of that second input. So I know that if I pass this no intersection attribute, into the detangle, it's going to know that is not an intersection point. Now, one thing to be careful here before I actually hook this up is the detangle is going to choke and go really slow if I actually give it the entire body. But if I give it just a section that I know I want to de-intersect, it should work better. So what I'll do here is just select the part of the leg that's going to be trouble. So I'm just selecting this intersected part of the leg and then blasting that and delete non-selected. So I'm just working on this section here. And now I can pass this into the detangle node. Now this is going to go pretty crazy. But I don't know if you can tell, but it has actually opened up something here. So what can I do next? Well, the default thickness I can take down because I'm only looking at small little sections. Maybe that's a little too small. There we go, starting to bring things apart. And again, I'm going to add a delta mush. So we put the delta mush in, and I'm going to pin border edges so that all my ends stay where they were. And just like that, I've de-intersected that leg. Okay, well, how does that help us, and where does that get us with this original method? Well, the original method can kind of work automatically over the entire body, but it doesn't work so well with these sections here. Now, whereas this method works very well here, but I don't want to use it on the entire body because it's going to start going really slow. So what I can do is essentially blend these together. So I know what I've blasted off here. I'm going to copy this blast over to the left stream and don't delete, so I have everything left. And we'll see that if I merge these together now, everything's more or less back where it was. Now it's not quite, because these edges are still a little bit off, but there's an easy enough way to fix that. When I first blasted, I haven't deformed anything yet, and I want to know what points I have at the edge of these objects. I can make a group, and this is going to be, say, edges. It's going to be a point group, and we want to include by edges. We just want to include all the edges that are unshared, which gives me the edges of my objects. All right, so we have to do one last thing, which is say that all these edges are actually at their original positions. So I'm going to add a wrangle to this side and get the original input from the left side, because these are the point positions I need to match up with. And I can say over here that my position is really just the position from that other stream. Sorry, I made a slight mistake there. My second stream is actually going to be this edge before I detangled it. So let's bring it up here. There we go. So right now, you can see that everything, if I enable this, is just going back to the way it originally was. but all they really want is those edges. So I can choose edges on my group, and you can see that it's just shifting these edges back to their original place. So now when I merge this through, I can be pretty guaranteed that those edges are going to match up. Now I have one slight problem because I've merged these things in, and these points are here, and these points are also here. I'm doubling up on some point numbers. So all I can have to do is add a fuse after this, fuse this back together, and that brings those back together. And so that's now a method where I've used this main method on the main body and this other method on this section. And really, as you're going through your character and trying to find places to fix it, you're going to have this scenario over and over again, where maybe one method works really good for 90% of it, and another method works really well for another 10%. And then you just have to find a way to bring those both back together and use each one where it's the benefit for that geometry that it's sitting on.